All right. Okay. All right. So, uh, where have I been? I think I've already done this video at least once this year already, so I don't really feel like I need to explain where I've been. Sleep schedule's been terrible. The volume of basketball that I've been watching has not been the same that it was when the season first started. It has not been the same that it was in December. It has been lower, drastically lower. So I didn't want to make any videos and have an uninformed take. So it's taken me about a month to get back to where I was comfortably with watching basketball. And a couple of things have changed since obviously I've been covering the sport just like in a capacity for as far as that. Sorry, I had to adjust something really quickly. So there's that, right? Um, Obviously, Jimmy Butler has had his injury. Trae Young has been traded to the Wizards, even though he's had to play a single game for them yet. I don't even think he played last night against the Bucks, and they won that game. Obviously, Giannis has been injured a couple times this season. Now at this point, Jokic is still injured. He has not played a game yet since his injury. Aaron Gordon came back and is now injured again after he re-aggravated his hamstring. Obviously, though, really quickly though, I want to give the shout out to the Nuggets because the Nuggets are still finding ways to be competitive and be a factor in the West that a lot of teams, if they were missing an MVP caliber player, would not be able to do. And that has a lot to do with the new coaching and the new roster management, which is something that I was afraid of and I was shook about last year because I didn't know that David Adelman would be this good of a coach. And obviously, I don't even know their new GM's name. Obviously, you're not going to know every GM's name. But after the firing of Kevin Booth and Michael Malone, I did not know how this team is going to perform. And they are doing, quite frankly, just fine without those two. They are doing better than expected. They are relying way less on the players, and obviously they didn't have the roster to rely less on Jokic last year, and so obviously some years prior. But like they are still finding ways to win games, and I think Jamal Murray should be rightfully so an All-Star this year. This should be the year where he becomes an All-Star because the Nuggets have, frankly, no business winning games that they've been winning. No business. And I know you're going to say to yourself, they've been playing against some pretty mid-tier competition. If they played these exact same teams last year and with very minute differences to the roster, because I think the thing that made the difference for them mostly is coaching. Played them same teams last year, they would just lose. It's just a fact. Like they were really relying on Jokic last year, and they're way less reliant on him this year. So that's very impressive to them. Let's talk about another team out west. I think everyone has been disappointed with OKC, but they are doing the exact same thing that I predicted. I literally said this to a T. They're not going to win the same amount of games they did last year. And when they were coming out hot in the season, and I was being hyperbolic and being like, as a doomsday clock counts down and stuff like that, saying we might have a new dynasty on our hand, whether we like it or not. Yeah. I was playing into what their record was at the time. Obviously, I did not really change my opinion of what I thought of this team, and I thought if the officiating changes, they're still a good team. They're obviously still a contender. They should still be the favorites. They're not going to care about the regular season nearly as much. I'm sorry, it's too hard to care about the regular season nearly as much. I was telling you guys, Shea is not really going to be available as an MVP candidate unless like it's tail end of the year, everyone's getting hurt again, and we're looking over like, well, the Thunder are still the Thunder, and Shea's got the same production, if not better, than he did last year. Right? And they're gonna have to be at similar production. They're gonna also have to need Chet and Jalen Williams to be hurt for him to win MVP this year. Those are the realities of the situation that we're in. It's very hard to repeat as an MVP. So don't expect that. As far as who I have being in the MVP, ironically enough, it's probably still Shea. But that's because my volume of basketball games that I've been watching hasn't been the same. And again, the candidates that I thought would be in the race for it, again, Jokic, because he didn't win it last year, that honestly helped his odds. And Giannis, I had those two guys in there. I'm going to be honest, there are not a lot of players in the NBA that can put up the numbers that those guys do, that have been available and as healthy as those guys have been over the past something years. And the fact that they're not, that just makes it really hard to give yourself an MVP. So you would literally just be looking over at like Shea. And then with Shea, I know we're saying every year an MVP is crowned based on what they've done for you that year. But when you win it, it's different. Because when you don't win it, like, for example, James Harden in 2019 when he finally won the 2018 when he finally won the award, right? Do I think he was a much better player in 2019 than he was in 2018? Absolutely. That's not up for the debate. But what we were seeing from Giannis and the success that we saw from the Milwaukee Bucks, that mattered, and that was the reason why he didn't get it, even though I think Harden's numbers, we're just talking about his numbers, they were very impressive. They were better than they were in his MVP season. And if that's the formula that you think you should go off of to give another guy an MVP, I got bad news for you. That's going to happen a lot, and those guys are not going to win those awards. As far as Defensive Player of the Year, dude, has Wemby lost his 65 game availability thing? Because, like, if so, God, we're talking about rules that have impacted the NBA for the worst. The 65 game rule might have fucked everything up. And I know you're saying to yourself, but availability is one of the most important things in the sport, and that's why they made the 65 game rule. Yeah, true. But, I know you're saying to yourself, but what? That makes sense. It does make sense. But these players are forcing themselves to play games where so I think they shouldn't be. And because of them forcing themselves to play these games, they're in situations that they otherwise would not be in. A lot of these guys are having injuries, and I don't think that's a coincidence that the 65 game rule came about and that a lot of guys are giving themselves more mileage than they usually had, and the resting of stars. And now you're saying to yourself, oh my goodness, the resting of stars only happened back in the day when Popovich did it, and it started then because Tim Duncan and blah 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 were old. Yes, but like these players nowadays are acquiring more mileage on themselves now because of the pace of the game increasing to what it was in the 80s, and the fact that they're doing this. And also, this is another thing, the pace of the 80s is not the same pace that it is today. I know they're very similar numbers, but the moves that they were doing back in the day were less extensive on the body. So that's why you're getting a lot more star injuries than you are with a lot of role players. And also because quite frankly, they're using role players in ways today that they've never used them before. Every time you turn on a game, you're seeing another new role player. Frankly, you're seeing another new guy. You're seeing another new guy because either one rotational player is injured, or B, they're not they're living and dying with the role players, so they're going to swap them around. They're going to get more production out of these other guys. They're going to try and do that, and they're going to try and be less reliant on their stars than they have been in any other era, because if you rely on your star this much in this era, you're going to have some injury problems, and injury problems are going to make it really hard to win a championship. And everyone's goal right now with these guys who have these transcendent top 10 players is to win a championship, so it doesn't make sense to run that guy into the ground. Now, a lot of these guys want to play basketball, so I don't know why we've always adopted, why you all, I know the audience members might not feel like they're a part of this, but a lot of people have been pushing for players to play more games, and frankly, I haven't, because I have a brain. And I know you're saying to yourself, it's more entertaining when those guys play. Yeah, it is more entertaining when those guys play, but it's also more entertaining when those guys have long, healthy careers than it is when they're just playing the games just to be playing games. I really think the 65 game rule has hurt the NBA in ways that it should not have been even drafted up. I think the new CBA is the worst thing that I've ever seen in my life. I think that the place that we are right now in basketball in terms of entertainment is at a market. It's a plus. It's great. It's good. It's healthy. But I feel like it's in spite of the CBA. I'm not going to lie. The things that people have been saying for years, I'm tired of super teams. I'm tired of all of this. Well, yeah, you were gonna see those under the previous CBAs. You're gonna see those under trades. You're gonna see those because teams hadn't really learned the value of draft picks and stuff. If you're nostalgic for that part of the NBA, a large part of that problem that you're nostalgic for, or the part that you were nostalgic for, is a part of it is a CBA. The contract that they signed and the types of contracts that they were signing back in the day made a lot more sense, and a lot of guys that you like could have been your favorite, like glue guy or whatever on teams and stuff, these Kamingas and stuff, all of those guys, these Cam Thomas's and shit. I just make Cam Thomas. I don't even think that's the right guy. Who cares though? Those guys, those Josh Giddies and stuff, getting those contracts and stuff. These guys could have been like team favorite guys and stuff. You're not gonna see them get contracts anymore because they don't serve the value that they have, and their value isn't really firmly defined. It's really hard for those guys to make roster spots. And I don't mean that they're not talented enough to make a roster. I'm just saying that the amount of money that they're demanding for their talents is not going to lead to them being playing basketball games on the NBA. Because they're a lot further than they are from the star guy and that they are from like role players. And if they can't adapt their games to become these role players, they're going to have problems. I think these guys are much more talented than a lot of role players that we've seen in history. And I don't mean that as in like role players of dynasties. That's obviously not what I'm trying to say. I mean just like role players in general, like I think even that might be too far because Jeff Teague was an actual all-star. Like players of a tier below Jeff Teague's, right? Those kind of guys. These guys are much more talented than them. It's not even a debate, really. Truthfully, it's not. But they're not like these perennial all-stars. They're not closer to those guys than they are to the other guys. It's going to be hard for them to get contracts, so that's tough. Kuminga's obviously demanded a trade, so let's talk about that. Let's really just dive into the Warriors' discussion as a whole, because Jimmy Butler's ACL changes everything for them, and I like everything for them, because you could, like, with Jimmy Butler on the roster, you could cope and think to yourself, this team was whatever away from the conference finals. Do I think they would have beat the Timberwolves if they were healthy with Steph? I don't really think so. I feel like the Wolves played a little bit down to the competition. I know people are going to say to themselves, but they were really whipping their ass in the one game. We do the same thing with Kawhi Leonard, dog. We did the same thing with Kawhi Leonard. I do not think the San Antonio Spurs in 2017 would have hanged with the Warriors, bro. Calm down. But the 2018 Houston Rockets, I hate to break it to you, were functionally breaking the game of basketball as we understood it back then with their math. The math that they were gooding with the analytics that they had, and the fact that they had the players and the role players and stuff too to actually make it accomplishable is why we were seeing that team actually go 7 games with the Golden State Warriors. I really truly believe this. If the Warriors and the Spurs played a full series, right? And maybe this is a hot take and this shouldn't even be in the video. It's unrelated, kind of. If they played a full series, that would have been like a 5-game. That would have been like a 6-game series at most. And I think the Warriors obviously come out with that. Obviously, Zaza hurting Kawhi Leonard fucking sucks. And it's also another thing. I understand the shooter rule now, but like I fucking hate this. Bro, I hate it so much. Poor Lakers, by the way. Luka got hurt because the courts are elevated. How many of you knew the courts were elevated before that happened? I've been seeing idiots talk about, oh my God, why is he doing all this hopping around? Have you guys ever shot a basketball? This is a common basketball move. Have you watched the game of basketball? When you're fading away on that type of shot from the three-point line, and the reason you've never seen it before, it's because it's not a common shot, and there's only like a couple guys in league history that should be taking those shots and can take those shots. That's why you've never seen it before. That's why the elevated court thing has never really mattered. Prior, the court being elevated by that much, I guess they're going to have to build the courts out a little bit more to include the bench being elevated as well, but okay, I guess that's something they're gonna have to do. I don't really like the idea of the courts being elevated. Obviously, you can't. It's a thickness thing with the court being higher than that. I don't think the courts are literally elevated to the point where like it's noticeable because someone would have commentated on that shit before. Yeah, that kind of sucks. So I guess they're gonna have to, with Luka being the one that got injured, they're probably gonna take note of that and adjust that. So don't think that'll be in the game forever. But back to Golden State. I don't think they would have beaten the Wolves. I'm gonna be honest. I just don't believe that because I'm seeing how the Wolves are playing this year. I just don't believe that the Wolves could have lost to that team last year in the playoffs. I just don't. Maybe that's a hot take. Maybe that's a hot take. I don't think it should be, but I don't think they could have hung with them. Especially because if it came down to a long series, the age of the Golden State Warriors would have broken them down at a certain point. I just think that's just true. The amount of mileage and what they were asking of Stephen Curry, it just offensively is why he was injured in the first place, why he suffered that hamstring injury in the first place. I truthfully don't believe that if he was healthy that they would have won this series. I think it would have been closer for sure, but it's still a coin flip, if you want to call it that. They struggled with Houston, and I don't think anyone in their right mind believes that the team that we saw in Houston last year is A, as good as the Timberwolves this year, or B, as good as the Timberwolves last year. That's just, sorry, that's not true. And they were struggling to put them away in that series. They're not doing that. And Jimmy was also coming back after an injury in the Houston series. No, they weren't going to win that series. I'm sorry. The offensive firepower that we saw from the Timberwolves was so much better than the offense that we saw from, quite frankly, any offense that we saw from Houston that series. There was no way they were going to win that series. So this changes the timeline drastically. They have, unlike a lot of teams, they actually have their picks. They have valuable picks getting into the future. But this is the end of the Golden State Warriors. It's time to blow it up. I said they should have traded. I've been firm on this belief that they should have traded Steph Curry 2 years ago. So now that you're where you're at right now, you have to do one of two things. You either trade Steph Curry, or you pray that this miracle player that's going to drop into your laps like a Giannis, it has to be a Giannis caliber level player, and a Giannis caliber level, and a Giannis like age as well, age range, because no one else is going to be able to trade you a guy like that. And then two, if you get Giannis, which how the f are you going to do that? God forbid. If I'm the Milwaukee Bucks, I'm not giving you fucking Giannis for whatever you have in Golden State. It would have to be two of those picks. And those 2 first-round picks, boy, oh boy, they would have to be valuable. They would have to be valuable. They got to be, I need that 27 and 28. And the Stephen rule says you can't do that. So I need that 20 and I need that 30. Realistically speaking, I would need that 28 and 30. So how are they going to get that done? Fuck if I know. I think they should I think as from a purely basketball move, you trade Steph Curry. To where? Fuck if I know. That would require me to look at every single team's roster, look at the cap space and stuff, really look back even deeper into the CBA. I'm not doing that. That's not happening. That's not the content that you expect from me, right? Good, because I wasn't going to be able to give it to you in the first place. I'll report on it when I see someone else make some decisions and stuff like that, and I'll see what that's looking like. But yeah, no. By the way, the Warriors have made it very clear that they're interested in Giannis. So in case anyone was wondering why on God's green earth were you bringing up Giannis of all people, this is why. And obviously Giannis would have made a lot more sense if Jimmy Butler was healthy, because you could have swapped those two, and then I don't know where Jimmy would wind up after that, but hey. Gotta get something done. Giannis' team is so fucking desperate they want to trade Ja, which they want to trade Ja for Ryan Rollins. Nigga, Ryan Rollins is better than Ja Morant right now, unironically. And he fits Giannis better than Ja Morant ever would. So unless the Milwaukee Bucks are going to do what they did with Kobe, where they're not contending anymore, but Kobe's not gonna demand a trade if they keep paying him the way they're paying him, I don't know. But we all saw what the results of that was with the Lakers, and the difference between Steph and Kobe, no offense to Kobe, where he wasn't his career at that point in time. Kobe had come off a ton of injuries and clearly was not the same. That Achilles injury really changed his career. Steph has not had that, and also with modern medicine, he could probably bounce back from that, to be quite honest. Obviously, probably wouldn't be the exact same. He's fucking 37 at this point. But yeah. I think we were robbed of a lot of time out of Stephen Curry's career simply because he is very injury prone. But this is not the time to just hold on to the horses. I think if they're going to do that, that minimizes the value of the picks that they could be. If they're going to do something like that. If Steph is content playing the rest of his years out in Golden State and just making as much money as possible, kudos to him. I have no complaints with that. That is good. But if we're talking about this from a basketball situation, yo, Steph, call them niggas up, bro. Get me out of here. Customer service. I want to speak straight to the. Get me out of here. Pack me. Get me out of Golden State now. I've given you niggas 4 championships. I don't owe you guys anything. Get me out of here. I'm tired of playing with Draymond Green, nigga. I'm tired of playing with Podziemski. Tired of playing with these niggas, bro. I need a real team, bro. I'm trying to win a championship, bro. If that's what he wants to do, cool. Would that hurt his legacy? Yo, is this not? It's a nasty conversation. Yes. Yes, it would, bro. Because you niggas value loyalty over everything, and it's so stupid to me. It's so stupid to me how you niggas value loyalty. I don't understand it. I don't. I think loyalty is the dumbest thing on the planet. If we're talking about basketball and we're talking about business and we're talking about niggas' legacies and shit, yeah, loyalty is stupid. If you have a chance to contend somewhere else, bro, take that chance, bro. Take that chance. If you're one of those guys, yeah, bro. But if you're just content with the money and shit and you already got the legacy and stuff like Steph Curry and stuff, like, who gives a... Me personally, bro, I'm chasing the bag. Me personally, because these rings and being a cultural icon, that's not what this is about, bro. This is a business. This is a business, bro. And if the Warriors are content with making money off of Stephen Curry's name, bro, because he turned this franchise into a billion with a B dollar organization, bro. With or without Kevin Durant coming to the team, $1 billion organization is what Stephen Curry turned the Warriors into. Then I'm content, nigga. I'm content to make money off of this team, bro. This team that I made a fuck ton of money off of me. I'm content with that. I already got the 4 chips. I got 2 without KD. I got 2 with KD. I got some with against really great competition where I was the overdog. I got some against niggas where I was the underdog. I got some in a balanced series. I won against niggas with like LeBron. I don't won with niggas with like Kevin Durant. I've done everything, bro. I got the 2 MVPs back to back. One of them is unanimous. Nigga, I don't need no more for my legacy. My career, I already got the most threes in career history, and niggas is not gonna catch me for quite some time, bro. I'm 37, bro. I don't got time for this shit no more. I'm good. We're good. So if he wants to contend, brother, you needed to make that trade demand 3 years ago if you want to contend, bro. Because it's spooky out here with this new CBA shit. It's not for the faint of heart. It's irregular. It's not something that you can just bounce back and go to whatever team you want to do. You can't pull the KD shuffle, bro. You can't I'm suddenly on the Rockets. Off of the Suns. Out of Brooklyn. You can't pull that move anymore. It's not happening. Teams really got to be ready for you. And when KD did it, shit, it didn't work. It didn't work. Bro, when KD did it, dang, bro, I got to get out of Golden State. Let me get to Brooklyn. Oh, this is a worse situation than when I was in Golden State. Damn. This Kyrie Harden shit not working out. But I forced this shit to happen in the first place. Let me get the fuck up out of here. Wind up in Phoenix they made a dumbass trade to get Bradley Beal, bro, and Chris Paul was aging and shit. Like, damn. Another bad situation. Hell, let me get the fuck up out of here. Oh, I'm in Houston now, and, you know, Fred VanVleet got injured before I even got to suit up and play a single game. Yeah, that kind of sucks. I'm not really feeling this. What's the next move? I know you're saying to yourself, man, why would KD want to leave? Look, I don't know. Personally, I think KD in Houston makes sense. He started his basketball career in Texas, and I know you're saying to yourself, at Texas, yes, bro, he was a Longhorn. I don't know how long it's been since he's been a Longhorn. God forbid. It's probably as long as I've been alive. Hey, yo, we go. No, well, not as long as I've been alive, but it's close. It's pretty close. Longer than my brother's been alive, I'll tell you that much. You do that, right? And you can finish your career in Texas. He's been in Texas before. I think it makes a lot of sense financially. If I'm Kevin Durant, them taxes in Texas is not the same as them taxes in anywhere else, bro. Them state taxes is basically non-existent. The land's good. I could chill out if I'm Kevin Durant. I don't give Kevin Durant don't got no kids and shit. Like, cool, bro. Chill out in the mansion. Plenty of shit to do in Texas. Hey. Cool. That's cool, bro. The basketball situation is cool too. Like, that's nice. And if Houston wants to have him, they can keep him, bro. It's great. That's cool. That's great basketball. I mean, hey. Y'all need to figure some shit out because I'm tired of seeing y'all come in games and can blow that shit up. That's crazy. I don't know what's up with y'all. Sengun, I watched you play very recently, actually. I watched you play a couple of times recently, and y'all have really screwed the pooch on some of these nationally televised games, both of them being on ESPN. I shouldn't have to tell you which one's which. especially against San Antonio. Y'all was up 16. I don't know what happened. Y'all was really good. Wemby was in foul trouble, and all of a sudden, y'all just choked that game. I don't know. I thought we brought Kevin Durant over there to address some of those issues. Apparently, y'all don't want to give him the fucking ball in the clutch. I don't know why you don't trust KD. Maybe it's a less of a demand from KD to get the ball in the clutch. That needs to be sorted out immediately, but because if you go into a playoff series and this is what's going on, hey, bro, San Antonio gonna be champions if that shit continues. Is that crazy to say? And by the way, I said earlier in the season that San Antonio and Giannis makes a lot of sense. Hey, San Antonio. San Antonio, y'all have the funniest ability to pull something. Hey, Giannis, we're good. This Wembanyama guy. Obviously, Wembanyama is a much closer basketball talent than to Giannis than LeBron was to a certain other player that shall not be named. He who shall not be named. Obvious, right? But hey, San Antonio. I'm not saying that San Antonio is my favorite to win a championship, but I mean they did beat the Crown. They beat the niggas who they beat the teams they supposed to beat. Can't lie. Now all this shit might change when Jokic is healthy and all that, and now you're just saying to yourself, why aren't we talking about the East? Nigga, I just got back. I haven't watched that many games yet, bro. Chill on me. It's not that serious, bro. I did catch Jaylen Brown elbow the fuck out of a yucca on Conwood. That nigga gonna need reconstructive surgery for his teeth, bro. He gonna be. I'm not gonna lie. If I'm Oyeka, I'm so mad. Not only am I mad, that shit hurt. And it made me shoot them free throws after that. I clearly wasn't gonna play a single minute after that, nigga. He gonna be. Is this crazy? Look, maybe it's a little bit crazy to reference this nigga, especially considering where he's at right now mentally and what he's doing in Big 2026 and the shit he's doing in Big 2024 and the fact he ain't had an album good and God knows how long. But hey, Oyeka gonna be through the wire, through the wire. Yeah, because his teeth is all the way in the back of his mouth. That was disgusting. On a more positive note, Ja Morant is still stuck in Memphis. How is that a positive note? I mean, does your favorite team want Ja Morant on them? Be real. No? Then shh. Yeah. Basketball at large is very entertaining. Nigga can't tell me otherwise about that. Basketball at large has been very entertaining. But if we're talking strictly about like the game and like where niggas are personally and where the league is, yo, Adam Silver, you need to call somebody. This is it's looking spooky, my boy. That's gonna have to do it for me, bro, because I didn't think I'd be having for like 30 minutes, basically. Yeah, like, comment, subscribe, all that fun stuff. YouTuber me will YouTube on. Better not hear a single comment about anything else other than basketball related topics that I talked about in this video. I'm gonna come to your house. Peace.